Why I'm still running is because I can. I can still take advantage of this body and these gifts that I've been given, and I enjoy it, and I just want to see how hard I can go.
How do you mentally grapple with the flexibility that you need to have, right? You've put up some really strong performances that suggest that it works. How do you have the confidence to give yourself that flexibility, or is it there isn't another option?
Yeah, I kind of do think it's the latter. I don't really give myself a choice. Like if I have a good workout or a bad workout, or a good race or a bad race, the next day it's just back to normal life no matter what. So I have tried to be really intentional about celebrating little wins and big wins, and like taking time to cherish those. But like if you have a bad day, just moving on and jumping right back into life is sort of helpful in a way. So sometimes it works out to my benefit. Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed, but my life is such that like you just move on.
My coach really loves to focus on celebrating wins and focus on little wins, as you were saying, but also big wins following a race. I'm not running professionally like you, but I still take it seriously and put a lot of effort into it. So for those who are listening and they're going to go run Boulderthon tomorrow, how do you suggest or what's your tip for celebrating those wins?
Yeah, I think every finish line, especially a marathon finish line, deserves a little celebration afterwards. So that can look different. On some post-marathons, we actually get to go on a little vacation, but obviously not every time. So sometimes we just have a champagne toast when we get back home, or we just have like a special dinner, just something to acknowledge all the hard work, because it's not just the race. It's the 3 months leading into the race. It's all the sacrifices that your family has made with you. And I involve my family a lot when I'm training for a marathon. We usually have a meeting at the beginning of a marathon block, and I say, hey kiddos, here's the deal. The next 3 months are going to kind of be harder than normal, and give mommy a break on a few things. And so we're kind of all bought in together. So at the end, we all celebrate together. But yeah, any way that you can celebrate your marathon finish is good enough.
I see a lot of parents out there toting kids around. What do you say to those people who are hearing you say you have a family meeting with your kids and husband and talk through what the next few months are going to look like? How did you get them to buy into that?
So in our family, we all have goals. So they understand my goals are running. They have goals like my 5th grader's goal was to memorize the 50 capitals, so that was like a family, like we all pitched in on that.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so it's mutual though. It's symbiotic, right? Like, okay, they're bought into mom doing like training really hard for the next 12 weeks, but I'm also bought in on whatever their goal is as well. In our family, it tends to be a lot of athletic goals, but sometimes it's like playing the violin or, learning a new skill. So I think we just like all get on board, and that helps a lot. Everybody has a goal that they're working towards pretty much at all times. And yeah, that brings everybody on board.
What's the goal you're currently working towards?
So the New York City Marathon is 5 weeks from tomorrow.
New York City Boulderthon is a great warm-up for New York City for those who are doing the half. Is there anybody out there that's doing the New York City Marathon? Oh. What are you doing? The half. Let's go. Who else out there is doing the half? We got some people. Awesome. So when you think about a goal like the New York City Marathon, how do you back out the 16 weeks or 20 weeks? How do you set that goal and break it up into small pieces along the way?
Yeah, for me, it really does have to be a set chunk of time. Like training at a high level 24/7, 365 just doesn't work for me. So working backwards from a marathon, for me, it's about a 12-week chunk that I can kind of stomach, where I'm like 130 miles a week. I don't know if you noticed, I sat down before you did. I'm really tired because I'm in the thick of marathon training with the really big mileage. So I break it down into a 12-week chunk, and then I do these 3-week cycles within that. So like my mileage fluctuates a little bit, but even if it really doesn't, for me mentally, it's like, okay, easy, medium, hard for 12 weeks. I do those 3-week cycles. And even if the training doesn't actually vary that much, for me, it's like a little bit of like coming up for air on that easier week.
How much do you focus on like a tangible goal versus doing the work on a week by week basis in those 3-week cycles?
Yeah, when you're training for the marathon, there's obvious volume that you have to hit. Everybody here knows that they've got training that they have to just get done. They've got to do the miles. So for me, that tends to kind of be the main focus. And then beyond that, like I try to focus on nutrition, sleep, all the little things. But, descending order list of priorities, it's like do the basics right before you worry about the little things. And the basics obviously are sleeping, nutrition, and getting in your miles.
When you focus on nailing the basics on a regular basis, does that kind of help satisfy I really want to do this thing well? And if you kind of miss on the 1% or the 5% on the top, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, I've definitely had success off of marathon buildups where I've wow, I've missed a lot of the stuff I had written in my training plan. I just didn't get to everything. I didn't have time. I didn't have energy. And yet I still can produce a good performance. And so I think, like you said, just doing the bulk of the work and then kind of adding in the other stuff if you can. But for me too, sometimes it's is it worth the extra stress? For me to, I don't know, get up 45 minutes extra to do core, or do I take that extra 45 minutes of sleep? I'm kind of always playing that game. So if it's worth the extra stress to add in more, but for probably most people here, they're working, they're raising families. You can't Normatec and massage every day. I don't either. So you just do what you can.
So my podcast is all about exploring the why. So I ask why a lot. So you're running 130 miles a week. You have a full-time job. You have a full-time family. Why? Why is running such a big part of life?
I feel like I've been given a gift and an opportunity. And I think most people might look at my whole story and ask the same question. But because it hasn't always been easy. And I've been in this career of running for a long time where I'm maybe on the upper end of the age for most people on the start line with me. And so it doesn't really make sense a lot of times. I get the question, why are you still running, is how people usually ask it. Why I'm still running is because I can. I can still take advantage of this body and these gifts that I've been given, and I enjoy it. And I just want to see how hard I can go.
Can you talk more about curiosity?
Yeah. I mean, that's that's sometimes, I pick a word for a marathon buildup, and a lot of times it's curiosity or curiosity adjacent, where I just want to see what I can do. I want to see what my limits are. I don't know what my limits are yet, so still finding out.
Last night, Alexi Pappas hosted a dinner, and she talked about going into the unknown and the beautiful experience that. How often do you wake up and do something that you don't know the outcome, right? Outside of running, many of us have a pretty predictable life for the most part. The nuts and bolts might be confusing or changing or different. At work, you might have a meeting that's confusing, or your boss will present you with something you're not used to. But for the most part, you show up at work, you have an idea of what's going to happen. You go home, you have an idea of what's going to happen. But this thing we do with running, there's so much unknown basically every time, right? And you can go out and you're am I going to have a good day today? Am I going to have a good day tomorrow? Am I going to have a good day the next day? And we show up on these start lines, and I think the beauty of it is that we have no clue what's about to happen, right? We can do all of the preparation to put us in a place to have a good day, but I think so much of it is that unknown and that curiosity. So can you talk more about that joy of peering into the unknown, or staring into the well and being kind of curious of, what's this going to feel like on the other side, particularly ahead of people running marathons and half marathons and 5Ks and 10Ks out there tomorrow?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm a huge fan of creature comforts. My life is not all that challenging in other ways, but every day I step out the door and I'm running up to 20 miles a day. That part is hard. And sometimes the workouts are really scary. And I sometimes don't know how it's going to go. Sometimes it goes great. Sometimes it really doesn't. And I think the magic happens when you actually kind of find the edge of yourself, the end of yourself, and you miss a workout, you blow up in a workout, you don't finish, you have to walk home or walk back to your car. I mean, that happens to me once or twice in a marathon buildup, and you don't want to be doing that every time, but it's cool to find failure. I think a lot of us, need to challenge ourselves more in that way. And running is a perfect opportunity to do that. And when you're in the depths of a marathon or a half marathon or even a 10K or a 5K, there's going to be a moment where you're I could keep pushing, but if I do, I don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's really cool. I think everybody should get there, and I think they should keep going and find out.
There are a handful of events that it's really easy to experience this in, and meaning you could do it a lot. It doesn't make it easier. Like, show up to a bunch of 5Ks and ride that knife's edge and go over it and see what it's like to push too hard. Because the more you push too hard, the more you realize where your boundary is. And there's so much fun in a bit of a sick and twisted way from, I like to describe the 5K as like running your finger along a knife's edge or putting your hand on the stove and seeing how long you can tolerate it. And the more you do that, some describe that as the pain cave, or however you want to describe this, like, again, twisted feeling that we love so much. But the more you do it, the better you get at doing it. It doesn't make it easier, but you can take that skill or take that muscle memory and apply it into the other parts of life that, there might be a little bit more impact if you screw it up.
I mean, I think running teaches us so many life lessons, but one of them is that resiliency. Like, we have to get comfortable with failing, or at least for me in my career, I don't know if I've ever reached the end of a season or a year or even the end of a marathon and thought, yep, that's everything. That's the best I'm ever going to be, because I wouldn't keep going if that's how I felt. So I think all of us runners can empathize with that a bit. Like, we want more out of ourselves. We want to see how we can keep challenging ourselves. So for sure.